Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. Today is January 10th, 2024. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
What's up there out there, everybody? This is Ben Dickerson, your co-host. Week 18 is done and in the books, and we have wild card weekend upon us. I tell you, brother, it's just seems like it was just yesterday. It was week one, and we were talking about the extended preseason and all that stuff, and now it's playoff time.
Ben, talking
Yeah,
about wild card weekend.
there's the wild card.
Here's the wild card right here.
Is he
Ace
going to be
Hudson.
hosting us on championship weekend?
Yeah, the boys
He'll
are
be
going.
hosting.
Boys will be back in town.
Okay.
So let me
Sounds
tell you
good.
something. How did you do last week?
9 wins, 7 losses, which is way better than I thought I would. That's kind of normal. That's my normal 56%. Considering that a lot of people with minor injuries were held out, considering teams that clinched, benched most of their starters, and it was a little haphazard. Some teams were going all out to win. Some teams were just kind of playing out the string. But I still got 9 wins and 7 losses, so I thought that was pretty good.
I'm trying to pull mines up right now between this and dude here taking up the space. But if I do remember, when we talked about it last week, I said teams have different motivations,
Correct.
team. So you see losses that didn't make sense relative to the net point history. So time to eat, I guess he's out. And that applied in my case. We call it the bias plus beaters. Would include the Bengals beating the Browns, the Titans beating the Jaguars, the Steelers beating the Ravens. Now the Raiders and the Broncos.
Yeah,
That's
those didn't mean much. The
win any
Steelers
either way
needed their game
anyway.
now.
With the Giants beating the Eagles and the Rams beating my Niners, my beloved Niners. So, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wrong out of 16. So what was that? What would that be, like 10 out of 16?
6 wrong out of 16. That's you're pushing 60%, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking here. Let me see. 62.5.
Excellent, excellent.
So, that's down from the 75 in the previous week. But like I said, we understand what the basis of the numbers is. The basis of the numbers are the net points, and that's the margin of victory over the season. And we even average it. It's funny, I hear on the media now, and they use the differentials, but they use gross numbers. So they'll say,
Mhm.
yeah, they're plus 16 in turnovers.
Yeah,
But we'll say they're at the average one more plus one turnover over 16 games. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
So we'll just say plus one. Doesn't sound as impressive, I guess. But if you turn around and just multiply it by the 16, then you got your gross number. So
There
long
you
story
got it.
short, I still see they use the differentials a lot, and so and basketball too. I say that a
Mm.
lot, basketball. All right, so this is wild card weekend. My team, my beloved Niners, are home. The other team that's home are those scary Baltimore Ravens. And then everybody else is pretty much in play that had to play. So let's get ready to jump into the matchups. Oh, Benny,
Yes,
before we jump into the matchups,
yes.
I did want to do something a little different, and that is the rankings that these matchups are based on, because this is the end of the season.
Okay.
This is the final regular season ranking. So I just brought it up. Again, sterlingnppr.com, the net point power rankings. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time, but within the rankings, you can see who your playoff contenders are. And you can see kind of where they fall in the rankings. And if you look at, for example, Philadelphia, in terms of, are there any other teams that are in the playoffs below Philadelphia, Benny, that you can see?
I don't think so. Let me give a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's one more.
One more.
There's 14 total, and I only count 13. So somebody, oh, you know who's lower than them? The Steelers.
The Steelers.
Right.
At a negative 1.2 net points.
Right.
We'll
Everybody
talk
else is
about that
top
a little
15.
bit because they've got Mason. What's his name again?
Mason Rudolph.
Mason. I struggle with his name purposely. Mason Rudolph. And as the coach said, he's helping them score. So we got to give it to him. But let's look real quick. Again, this represents the average net points. That's the differential on average that these teams win by. So as you can see, Baltimore at 11.9, a plus 11.9. And again, the average net points can go plus or minus. So they're winning by an average of 11.9 points. Dallas in second place, actually tied with San Fran at 11.4 net points that they're winning by average. Buffalo's coming in. Betty, did you jump off the bandwagon too soon, man?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. The stress was enough for me to get off the bandwagon. Now, the bandwagon I did jump on, kind of the wheels fell off. But, you know, I don't have any real allegiance to these AFC teams. I just like to watch them. So I think I'll be welcomed back by Bulls. I was about to say Bulls Mafia. Bills Mafia, if in fact I decide to make that change. I tell you what, though, I can see a scenario in my head. I probably shouldn't say this too soon to say this, where with a Buffalo Bills Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl.
Say that one more time. A Buffalo Bills Super Bowl, did you say?
Buffalo Bills versus Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, again, going back to my thought, teams that can make you play 11 on 11 have a decided advantage. And I saw it when they played the Miami Dolphins. You'll talk about that. Yeah, so the question was, did you jump off the bandwagon too soon? And I understand what you're saying. Cincinnati, you see where they wound up at ranking 18th, down there with Minnesota, Indianapolis, Chicago at -1 average net points. So that's how close it is for those teams in terms of losing. On the other side, the winning side, these are generally where you're going to find your playoff contenders and your Super Bowl contenders over here somewhere. And usually, again, I like to break, since it's 32 teams, we'll break it down in the 4/8s, going down to Detroit at number 8, 3.9. Cleveland, Green Bay, the Rams, Houston, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville fell off. Philadelphia's still there. So, and then Pittsburgh, as you said, the only one with a negative with that. Now, next to that, average net points, we didn't want to just recognize people for the scoring. Dallas came in at number 1 in terms of points for, edging out Miami at 29.9 versus Miami's 29.2. Dallas put up the numbers this year. San Fran's coming in at third, 28.9. Baltimore, 28.4, right behind San Fran. The Lions, 27.1. We know they can score. There's that Buffalo team again, 26.5. Philly, 25.5. And then the Rams coming in at 8th, 23.8. So those are your top 8, the top quarter of your scoring team. Now, below that, you do have the Saints, the Colts, the Browns, Green Bay. Those are down in the 23 point per game area. Houston at 22.2. So when they start playing the big boys, they're going to have to start getting their numbers up a little bit, but their defense is going to have to really do something. Big news came out of Seattle today, Benny. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You got Chicago, Denver, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's in they're in the playoffs, right? Tampa Bay?
Yes, sir.
All right, 20.5 points per game. That's my problem with Baker Mayfield. That's about his ceiling, I think. But in any event, as you can see from 20 down to 32, Chargers, Minnesota, Vegas, those teams, a lot of those teams now in that area, that lower area, are getting new coaches and general managers. You know, this is
Black
what
Monday.
scary. This is what makes it scary because you got your top 8 defensive squad led by Baltimore, only giving up 16.5 points per game. Next is Kansas City. Now, again, Ben, doesn't this seem like such a great turnaround from the Kansas City teams of old, where
Yes.
you were castigating their defense?
Yes.
Offense was just ripping people up, and that's how they were winning games.
Yep.
Man, how things have changed. My Niners, 17.5 points per game. And then there's Buffalo again, 18.3. Dallas, 18.5. Pittsburgh, that's how you get in the playoffs, baby. 19.1 points per game, tied with Tampa Bay. New Orleans at 19.2 rounds out the top 8. So there you go to, Raiders, Packers, Texans. They're down in that. Cleveland, they're down in that area, and the Rams giving up 22.2 points per game. They're in the playoffs, ranked 19th out of the teams. I will mention, let me see, if we go down, Chicago, Cincinnati, Miami at 27. Now, this is where you begin to question the playoff viability of some of these teams, like a Miami coming in 22nd and allowing 23 points per game, like Detroit coming in 23rd, allowing 23.2 points per game. Seattle 23.6. We pointed these teams are having similar issues last year, and I believe the year before that. It's kind of the makeup of these squads. Probably the biggest surprise is all the way down at the 30th is Philadelphia Eagles allowing 25.2 points per game.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the reality of how the numbers came out. Arizona at 26 and Washington at 30.5. I'm sure Magic Johnson ain't like that.
No. They have put together, and we can talk about this later, of course, but I heard they've put together this like 8-person committee to find their new coach.
Yeah, they're serious.
Yeah, they're going all in, man.
He might come from anywhere, Benny.
Anywhere.
Be the first European coach brought up from the
Nah.
European League.
Nah, that ain't gonna happen.
Anywho, our friend Todd, well, since he's average turnover differential. Look who is number 1 tied with Baltimore.
Can you believe it? A team that was known for turning the ball over, or should I say a team that had a quarterback who was
There you go.
known for
There
turning
you
the
go.
ball over, has since turned that whole thing around to the tune of being number 1 in the league in turnover differential. I think that's astonishing.
Absolutely, tied with Baltimore. Okay, tied with the team that's favored to go to the Super Bowl. That's just speaking of ties. You got a 6-way tie, I believe. Pittsburgh, the Saints, the Texans, the Bengals, the Cowboys, and my Niners all at plus 0.6. And again, we remind people that average turnover differential, like net points, can be both positive and negative. You get down to now that takes us down to eighth place right there. So that's a six-way tie. So you got a two-way tie for first and second place, and a six-way tie taking up 8 spaces. But right below that, Tampa Bay is coming in at a half a turnover differential per game. Denver, Chicago, Buffalo, Seattle, Indianapolis, Miami, and the Chargers tied with Green Bay and Detroit at break-even point of 0. Everybody else is slightly in the negative. Again, Philadelphia being down at 27th at negative 0.6 average turnover differential. So for your playoff, hey, look, they're tied with New England and Kansas City. Now, you know, that's one of the problems with Kansas City as far as those drop passes. Because a lot of those drop passes, the ball didn't go hand to ground. The ball went
Right.
hand somewhere in
It
the
went
air.
hand to hand.
Another hand from the other team, generally.
Right.
You know, tip drill live, you know, when you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's probably the one thing I'm going to be looking for. In any event, there you go. Sterling net point power rankings with our 4 favorite stats: average net points, average points for, average points against, and average turnover differential. All right.
All right.
So, let's move on to the Bias Plus reports. Bias Plus reports takes those average net point rankings and those average turnover differential stats, rather, not rankings, but the actual stats, puts them into the jumble machine, and out comes a Bias Plus score. In this case, the Browns are at the Texans. And the Texans, it's Bias Plus score of 3.8, favoring the Texans. Little over field goal there, Benny.
That's tight. That's tight. This is going to be one hell of a matchup right here. So the Cleveland Browns locked up the number 5 seed in the AFC back in week 17. Joe Flacco and most of the starters rested in week 18 since they were locked. They couldn't do any better, couldn't do any worse. Now, during weeks 14 through 17, Joe Flacco led the Browns to 4 consecutive wins and threw for 300 or more yards in all 4 of those games, including a 36-22 win over this weekend's opponent, the Houston Texans. They have a solid run game that's led by Jerome Ford, who gained over 1,200 yards from scrimmages this season, and a very stout defense. They're 6th in sacks. They're tied for 2nd in interceptions with 18 of them. They're 1st in yards against and 3rd in points against. That is a pretty elite defense, if I do say so myself. Now, they have to go and visit the Texans. The Texans won the AFC South title, and they clinched the number 4 seed with their Week 18 win over the Colts, which was 23-19. Rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud put on a great performance, going a rock solid 20 of 26 for 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. Beautiful day for C.J. Stroud. He leaned on wide receiver Nico Collins, who pulled in all 9 of his targets for 195 yards. Great day for Nico Collins. And he had a touchdown. And that touchdown actually came on a 75-yard bomb on the Texans' first offensive play of the game. Their run game is very solid. They're led by Devin Singletary, who has gone over 1,000 yards this year from scrimmage. That's rushing and receptions, despite only actually starting 9 games. So they started the season off with Dameon Pierce being the starting running back and Devin Singletary kind of being a part-time back, but he took the job over, started 9 games, and still got over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. The defense didn't finish in the top 10 in any particular defensive categories, but they play well together, and they've made the difference in several games under defensive-minded head coach DeMeco Ryans. With the Houston Texans being at home and being a favorite of mine over the course of the season, I love what they're doing. There's been a great culture change. You got a rookie quarterback playing great. You got a rookie head coach playing great. 10-7 record, division winner. I really love them. But I'm telling you, man, defense usually travels. So I got to go with the Browns. I'm picking the Browns to go into Houston and beat the Houston Texans.
Well, now, that's kind of understandable. I mean, that defense is ridiculous. And we'll talk about both sides of that defensive line coming at you now. So CJ Stroud, this has been a great accomplishment to make it this far.
Oh, no doubt about
This
it.
Browns team, woohoo, baby. Man, that would be something. So, all right, Benny, I'm with you there. I'm with you. Dolphins at Chiefs. Bias plus score 4.5 favors the Dolphins.
Mm.
Now, here you have
Not
that.
used to that.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody other than the Chiefs being favored in the
And
playoffs.
when I look at the numbers for this game, and let me see here. It was really, really close. What really helped bump the numbers up for the Dolphins was the turnover differential, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Chiefs were ranked 6th. Dolphins are ranked 5th in net points. So they ain't far off either one, but that did make a difference because the Dolphins are coming in at plus 6.2, and the Chiefs are coming in at plus 4.5. So that ain't but a point plus difference. But again, when you throw that differential in there and account for that, and again, Chiefs had a negative differential, and the Dolphins at least had a positive. It wasn't big, but the differential was healthy, and so that Pythagorean calculation kicked in and really bumped it up. So you got 0.5, where if it had been just based on net points, it'd have been 1.7. That's how close.
Right.
So, all right, what do you got?
Well, let's go with the visitors. That would be the Miami Dolphins. And I'm telling you, everybody on television, I think, and the final, usually late in the week, like Friday, every sports show you watch on television, they're going to do their picks for the weekend. I'm telling you, all they're talking about is the weather in Kansas City. It was freaking 0 degrees the other day. The day after that, it was like 8 degrees. It's crazy cold in Kansas City. I don't know what they're predicting for this weekend, but it's going to be seriously, seriously cold. Now, let's talk about the nice Miami Dolphins. They clinched the playoff spot all the way back in week 16 when they beat Dallas, but they needed a win over Buffalo in week 18 to clinch the AFC title because Buffalo did so well down the stretch and put themselves in position to win the title. So it came down to that head-to-head matchup. Not only if they had beat Buffalo, not only would they win the AFC East, but they could also lock down the number 2 seed and home field advantage in the first round of playoffs. Unfortunately for them, they lost at home to the Bills 21-14. They dropped all the way down to the number 6 seed, and they'll have to travel to Kansas City. The normally high-powered Dolphins offense went up 14-7 by halftime, but then they struggled to hold on to the ball in the second half. They punted 4 times, and one of those punts was returned by the Bills for a 94-yard touchdown. Oh. Now we have to remember they were missing two very important players. That would be Raheem Mostert, the running back, and also Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle obviously complements Tyreek Hill, and Raheem Mostert is their number one running back. Mostert's got a knee. Waddle has an ankle. Head coach Mike McDaniels expects both of them to be ready for this game this weekend, though. He's very optimistic about both. Now, defensively, they're third in sacks. They're tied for fourth in fumble recoveries. They're tied for fourth in turnovers on downs. And they're tied for third in defensive touchdowns. That's big. And 10th in yards against. Now, I know you always keep points against, so I wanted to make sure I got yards against in there. I'm not going to talk about it on points against because they're kind of low. But yards against, they're pretty good. Again, I don't want to call this defense elite, but it's pretty doggone good. Top 10 in a lot of categories. Unfortunately, it's going to be freezing cold in Kansas City. So I don't know how they're going to do. Let's see what I got for Kansas City. The Chiefs won their 8th straight AFC West title, and they locked up the number 3 seed with their win over Cincinnati in week 17. Consequently, they sat all their main starters except D-tackle Chris Jones, who needed one sack. This was funny. I love this. Not funny, but it was kind of heartwarming. D-tackle Chris Jones needed one sack to get $1 million incentive bonus. So they left him in the game until he got it. When he got it, he went bananas, running around the field, and all his teammates mobbed him. It was great. I love seeing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was one of those weekends where a lot of those bonuses and things.
Yes, a bunch of bonuses
are
went down.
at stake there, and we
Absolutely.
know you'll talk about the one down in New Orleans. Well, that wasn't a bonus, but that was a slightly different situation.
I know what you. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, although the Chiefs haven't been as strong on offense as they've normally been over the last couple of years, they still do have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Isaiah Pacheco. And those guys are definitely their tried and true big three. Rookie Rashee Rice, the wide receiver, has emerged as the number one option at wide receiver. And the defense has played extremely well. They're number 2 in sacks. Thank you, Chris Jones. They're tied for 5th in turnovers on downs. Basically, turnovers on downs means they make people punt a lot. Okay, gives the ball back to their offense and keeps them on the plus side of time of possession. So they're 5th in turnovers on downs. They're 2nd in yards against, and they're 2nd in points against. That's basically elite. Great job by the Kansas City Chiefs defense, been keeping them in games, keeping the ball in Mahomes' hands. I tell you the truth, man. Both teams finished 11-6. Dolphins for sure did not want to go on the road anywhere, let alone ice cold Kansas City. I cannot see them being able to pull out a win. I think the Chiefs are going to put it together. They're going to get their playoff mojo going, and the Chiefs, I will pick them to beat the Miami Dolphins.
Well, Ben, what you said is what I said. This is the intriguing game of the week blog.
Okay.
And what did I say? About the Dolphins are in a unique position of needing to start their starters, even though they have a playoff position clinched.
Right.
If they win, they'll clinch the AFC East for the first time since 2008. They'll be the AFC's 2nd seed and host Buffalo, Pittsburgh, or Jacksonville in the first round.
Right.
If they lose, they'll be the AFC's number 6 seed and play a first-round game at Kansas City, possibly in frigid conditions.
Right. So it's very important for them to win that game, and they did not accomplish it.
And they did not accomplish that, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. So Now they got to go play in the super duper cold. And okay, well, it is what it is. We shall see. All right. Steelers at Bills. Oh, Benny. Bias plus score 7.4 favors the Bills. And Mason Rudolph has been confirmed as the starting quarterback. He's sticking with the hot hand, as he said, he being the head coach. All right, what you got on these guys?
Yeah, I think that's it's probably the smart thing to do. Kenny Pickett, I believe, is healthy now, but again, coming off an injury, been out for several weeks. I think if I was Tomlin, I would have done the same thing and stuck with Mason Rudolph. But anyway, the Steelers clinched.
As bad as much as I get on Mason Rudolph, I would have done the same thing also.
Yeah. They clinched the 7th and last playoff seed in the AFC by virtue of their win over the Ravens last weekend and a surprising Titans victory over Jacksonville. Now, I tell you the truth, I picked Jacksonville. I didn't think there was any way the Titans would beat Jacksonville. And therefore, I felt strongly that even if the Ravens didn't play their starters and the Steelers somehow won the game, a Jacksonville win over Tennessee would have still knocked them out of the playoffs. That did not happen. Jacksonville folded. The Titans won, and that vaulted the Steelers into the playoffs, and they grabbed that last number 7 seed. Now, over the course of the season, they've been doing it with smoke and mirrors as far as I'm concerned, especially in the early part of the season as they struggled to score points and, in fact, got outscored several times, but still pulled a rabbit out of their hat on defense or something, or kick return or whatever, and still got wins. They couldn't find a quarterback that could lead the offense. When Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky both had their shots, both had fair tries to get it done, and they couldn't get it done, they finally turned to Mason Rudolph. And when he got his chance, he definitely took advantage of it. He led the Steelers to 3 straight wins to close out the season. He's protected the ball with only 1 turnover, and the run game all of a sudden got rolling with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. And I tell you, Najee Harris didn't have a 100-yard game until just recently over the last 3 weeks. The defense has been pretty solid all season, just outside the top 10 in sacks and interceptions, number 10 in fumble recoveries, number 9 in points against. Not too bad, not too shabby for the old Steelers there. Now, at one point, Buffalo was 5-6, and me jumping off of their bandwagon was looking like it was the right thing to do. But they finished the season strong, 5 consecutive wins, and they clinched the playoff spot, as well as winning the AFC East with a 21-14 win over the Dolphins last weekend. And they got the help that they needed from, again, the Titans beating the Jaguars. Boy, that was a big game, man. But 2 teams had a lot riding on that game. The Dolphins game was for the division title, and although they were missing a few playmakers, they were going for it. But the Bills down 14-7 came back in the second half, and they shut the Dolphins out completely. Now, they've been far more efficient offensively since they fired their OC, and they're getting their ground game more involved. The defense has been a top unit all season, 4th in sacks, tied for 3rd in fumble recoveries, tied for 2nd in interceptions, 9th in yards against, and 4th in points against. That is a strong, strong defense. I believe that the Steelers will go into Buffalo. Weather won't be an issue, obviously, but Bills Mafia is going to be partying because the Bills are going to take the Steelers out.
Oh, I thought you were going to go in the other direction there, where you were leading
I can't.
down the primrose path there.
I can't.
But I mean, let me say this, and this is it's kind of interesting. Over the past 3 weeks, Pittsburgh is second in average net points at plus 12.3.
You're killing me, man.
Over the last 3 weeks,
Uh-huh.
Pittsburgh is 5th in scoring at 27 points per game.
Okay.
Over the last 3 weeks, Pittsburgh is second and points against at
Okay.
14.7, just behind Tampa Bay and just ahead of Kansas City, much less. Where is Buffalo? They're 19 points per game. So kind of, you know what pops in my head and just saying that there, the Rams, one of those things where it's just like this team is hot right now.
Right.
They're hot right now. So Steelers at Bills, bias plus score 7.4 favors the Bills, and you are going with the bias.
Yes.
I didn't change your mind, did I?
No, you did not. You know why? Because I just real quick looked up those last 3 weeks. They beat Cincinnati 34-11. Cincinnati's pretty much dead in the water. They beat a wounded Seattle Seahawks team in a tough one, 30-23. And they beat a Lamarless, starterless Ravens team, 17-10. And they just eked that one out by a touchdown, even though all the starters sat down. So, fool's gold, buddy.
Good
Feels
work.
feels
Good work.
good.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I gave you quantity, you gave me quality. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Not a problem. Not a problem. Okay, going with the Bills.
Yes, sir.
Packers at Cowboys by a score of 11.9. Favors the Cowboys over
This
the
is a toughie.
Cowboys.
This is a toughie.
That's a you think it's a toughie? It's a tough game for the Packers, or is it a tough pick? Which are you saying here?
When I say it's a toughie, I mean it's a tough one to pick. I
Really?
don't now this I think this should be an intriguing game candidate,
Okay.
but that's your decision. But anyway, I'll go with the visitor first, of course, like I've been doing. So the Packers clinched their final spot in the NFC playoff bracket with their 17-9 Week 18 victory over the Bears. Now, Packers started the season off 2-5. That had me looking kind of sideways at Jordan Love because I already had some issues with Jordan Love. But he made me believe over the course of the season. In fact, they won 7 of their last 10 games, including the last 3 in a row. And Jordan Love's been a major factor, throwing 18 touchdown passes and only 1 interception over his last 8 games. I am very, very impressed with that. His wide receiver core is made up mostly of rookies and second-year players like Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Romeo Doubs. And veteran running back Aaron Jones has run for 100-plus yards in the last 3 games also. So he was injured a little while back, but he seems to be 100% again. Well, I guess this time of year, nobody's really 100%. But anyway, he's running well, 100-plus yards over the last 3 games. So he's going into the playoffs feeling pretty good. Defensively, they don't rank high in some of the counting stats, but they are tied for 4th in turnovers on downs. So they get the other offense off the field and get their offense back on the field pretty well, being 4th. And they're 13th in points against, which isn't great, but it's not terrible. Now, they got to go to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Dallas clinched the playoff spot way back in week 15, but they needed to win out and hope that Philly lost a couple of games to improve their seed and possibly win the NFC East. So the division title and a higher seed has always been in contention between Dallas and the Eagles this season. But the Eagles did their part, and the Cowboys ended up winning. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Eagles did their part as far as Dallas was concerned by losing. And the Cowboys ended up winning the division title and grabbing the number 2 seed, which is big for them because that's a couple home field advantage type games. Let me see. They ran off 31 unanswered points against the Commanders in the week 18 game. So they left no doubt as far as getting the win that they needed. The leaders of this year's squad are playing extremely, extremely well. Dak Prescott, who last year threw 23 touchdowns, but led the league in interceptions with 15, has been MVP-ish this season, leading the league with 36 touchdowns, and only 9 interceptions. So all you Eagle fans who were just saying Dak Prescott sucks out of habit, look at the numbers, bro. He don't suck. He's playing great. 36 touchdowns, leads the entire NFL, and he's only thrown 9 interceptions. Also this year, his connection with CeeDee Lamb has been brilliant. Against the Commanders, Lamb caught all 3 of his targets for 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he finished the regular season with a league high 135 receptions. The defense, again, we've been throwing the word elite around. I've been throwing the word elite around. I'm going to throw it around one more time. Tied for 3rd in interceptions, 3rd in turnovers on downs, 1st in defensive touchdowns, 5th in yards against, and 5th in points against. That's an elite defense. And on top of that, they don't lose at home. So you can chalk this one up for the Packers. Cowboys winning.
Cowboys, going with the bias, going with the Cowboys.
Yes, sir.
All righty. What do we got up next here, Benny? Let's see.
Oh, this has got to be the intriguing game of the week.
Ding, ding, the ding, ding, the ding, ding, ding. Yes, this is the intriguing game. This is it right here. Drama and mayhem at all levels. We even have an article about our man Pete Carroll. They had some movement up there in Seattle. We'll talk a little bit about that. Rams at Lions. Why am I talking about Seattle?
I don't know. I wasn't going to say anything.
Rams at Lions. Seattle got nothing to do with it. Bias plus score of 2.8. 2.8 favors the Lions.
Ooh, so let's see what we got here. Okay, the visiting team will be the Los Angeles Rams. They don't have to travel cross country. They're only traveling to mid part of the country, and they will be playing indoors. So weather will have nothing to do with this game. The Rams clinched their playoff spot by beating the Giants and by virtue of the Steelers beating the Seahawks. Both those games happened in week 17. So they did clinch a playoff spot in week 17. They needed some help to do it, and they got that help by virtue of the Steelers beating the Seahawks. They defeated the Niners week 18. Obviously, the Niners had everything locked up, so they didn't play a lot of their starters. But that win locked them into the number 6 seed, which is not a bad spot. Right now, the Rams are arguably one of the hottest teams in football. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. That ain't no joke. And Matt Stafford has looked unstoppable. Cooper Kupp is having an average year as far as Cooper Kupp is concerned. He missed the first 4 games with an injury, and he's not getting the kind of target volume that he used to get because of sensational rookie Puka Nacua. Nacua has broken the all-time rookie record. Oh, he broke 2 all-time rookie records, excuse me. One for receptions in a rookie year and one for catches. One for receptions and one for catches. Do you believe I said that? one for receptions. He had 105 catches, and he also broke the record for yards, 1,486 yards. I believe that record belonged to Jalen Waddle, who just said it last year. So he came in and broke that. 105 catches ain't no joke.
And what did Robin say to Batman when he heard those stats?
He said, "Holy Puka Nakua."
Oh, Batman.
Woo. Now, almost as impressive as Puka Nakua's season is second-year running back Kyron Williams. He's not a rookie. I thought this guy was a rookie. He was on the team last year and didn't get no run. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. But this guy's had an outstanding season. He's been an emerging star from the start of the season all the way up to the end. He went over 1,000 yards rushing. He scored 12 touchdowns. Defensively, the Rams haven't put up great numbers in sacks and turnovers, but they are tied for sixth in turnovers on downs, which is pretty good. And they're eighth in yards against and 19th in points against. Man, this is a tough one. Not to mention that you got the Stafford from the Lions going to the Rams and Goff going from the Rams to the Lions, and then Stafford going back to Detroit to play Goff and the Lions in the playoffs.
Yeah, just you pointed this out, Benny. I'm thinking, wait a minute. The Rams have to go to Detroit.
Yes.
I'm so used to everybody going out there because they've been so successful, but they got to travel.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the Lions 12-5. That's a great record for them. The Lions have had an outstanding season. The only problem is their defense is a little
points.
As you pointed out, and as I noticed, I pointed out, that scares me a little bit. And when I look at how their defense scares me, with how impressive Matt Stafford has been, I'm going to pick the Rams to go into Detroit and upset the Lions.
Oh, baby. Uh-oh. Well, that would make for that's why it's a very intriguing game. You got these scenarios going on. The Lions have been the Lions pretty much all season, but this is a new look Rams team now over the last few games. So we got to see what's going to happen. These boys, and you got, man, holy Puka Nakua, Batman. What an intriguing game. Ben's going against the bias, going with the Rams coming into Detroit.
Yeah.
Problems. All righty. Eagles at Buccaneers. Bias plus score 5.5 favors the Buccaneers. Oh my goodness.
Oh, wait, the Bucs are favored?
Yeah. The Bucs are favored. 5.5. And again, we saw where the Eagle defense was. Their offense is 12th, somewhere around it. It's close to the top 10, but it's maybe just barely in the top 10. But that makes your net points low, And defense hasn't been the big problem for the Buccaneers. We see what Baker can do. So I'm gonna let you carry it from here. But yeah, the Bucs are favored by a bias plus score of 5.5.
Wow. So the Eagles got to travel. I know I'm getting old, so my memory ain't what it used to be. But I cannot, for the life of me, remember a collapse as monumental as the one the Eagles have suffered to end this regular season. I can remember the Phillies collapsing back in the 60s when it looked like they were going to win the pennant, and they were far and away ahead of everybody, and they went on a crazy losing streak and ended up not winning it. I remember that. I remember the year the Sixers only won 13 games out of 82. But that collapse happened in the beginning of the season. I don't ever remember anything in the NFL for any team that's happened like what's happened to the Eagles. They started the season 10-1 with the hopes of winning the NFC East and competing for the number 1 seed. You couldn't tell their fans they weren't going to do both. They lost 5 of their last 6, and they finished as the 5 seed. Along the way, they lost to a 3-win Arizona Cardinals team and a 5-win New York Giants team that they barely beat 2 weeks previous to losing to them. Jalen Hurts has been playing through a knee injury almost the entire season. Then in the Giants game, he dislocated his middle finger on his throwing hand. A.J. Brown sustained a knee injury in the same game. Devontae Smith sat out the game with a sprained ankle, and cornerback Darius Slay had his knee scoped back in mid-December. These guys are beat up. However, they are all expected to play in this wild card game against the Buccaneers. Not to mention the coaching issues on this team. And that's a discussion that we could go on for hours. So I'm not even going to bother to get that deep into that. Defensively, the Eagles have been poor in the turnover department. They really haven't done themselves any help with turnovers. They're tied for 5th in turnovers on downs, which isn't bad. But they're 26th in yards against and 30th in points against. That's piss poor. I'm sorry. Buccaneers, in a tightly contested NFC South, were able to win the division title and lock up the number 4 seed. They did it with a 3 field goal, 9-0 win over the Carolina Panthers. I know a lot of people are saying, wow, they could only beat the Panthers 9-0. They had to kick 3 field goals. That's the best they could do. Guess what? They got the job done as far as I'm concerned. And it's not like the Panthers were laying down for anybody, because they weren't, okay? Not a very impressive finish to the regular season, but they did win 5 of their last 6. And although it wasn't very pretty, Baker Mayfield actually had a solid season. When I looked at the numbers, I was a little bit surprised. He went over 4,000 yards passing. That's great. He threw for 200. He threw for 28 touchdowns. And most impressive of all to me, he only had 10 interceptions. 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's a great touchdown to interception ratio. Rookie running back Rachaad White earned his keep, finishing 10 yards short of 1,000 in rushing, along with 64 receptions for an additional 549 yards. Rachaad White is named to remember as a dual-purpose back. This kid's going to be good. Chris Godwin went over 1,000 yards, even in what I would consider a down year for him. He still passed 1,000 yards. And Mike Evans went over 1,200 and had 13 touchdowns. Mike Evans has always been a touchdown machine. Tampa Bay's defense was solid, but not spectacular. They tied for 7th in sacks. They tied for 3rd in fumble recoveries. They tied for 7th in interceptions. So they do get turnovers. They tied for 7th again in turnovers on downs. 23rd in yards against, so they can be run on. But they're 8th in points against, so they keep teams out of the end zone. I like Tampa Bay to take the Eagles out of their misery. It's time for this mess to end. Like I said, their defense has been solid, but not spectacular. They can be run on, but the Eagles don't run the doggone ball. So, any problems that the Eagles have, and I've been trying to tell their fans this, cannot be fixed in 1 week. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. I don't see it. I think the Buccaneers are going to beat the Eagles and move on through.
Well, that's a tough and Buccaneer wide receiver group is a tough group to match up with for any team.
Yes, it is, especially for defense with 2 corners that are struggling, one coming off a knee surgery and the other one coming off of burnt toast being scraped with a knife.
So, Baker might be salivating a bit down there, like, okay, we got some matchups that I can really exploit. Um, the Eagles be down there. Now, again, you said Jalen has a knee issue, so he's not doing a lot of running. He's not making the defense play 11 on 11 a lot.
Well, they still try to do it, but you can tell when he's running, he's looking for some place to lay down or get out of bounds. He's not as he's not as dynamic a runner as he was last season.
And I'm not mad at him about that, you know. And then we have the Philly shove, the tush push.
Yeah, but you know what? When you mentioned that a couple of weeks ago and how great you thought it was, remember what I said. If your offense isn't clicking, you're going to find your opportunities to do that play a little bit less and less. It's a great play as long as you're able to get yourself in position to run it. They haven't done that.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking for the first, 70-yard tush push drive.
That means a lot of third and shorts.
You know what I mean?
Well, they don't get third and shorts.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. But if you're going with the bye, going against the Eagles, and you know what's really weird, Benny? The net points and the turnover differential, before I calculated anything, were both 1.1. And I kept looking at it as like, is that right? Is this right? Is that right? Now, of course, turnover differential gets bumped up,
Right.
Rank calculation. So that really bumped the numbers up, with 1.1, and then you add, 1.1 times 4, and you get up to that 5.5. So a lot of the that bias is kind of made up by the turnover differential, value of those particular points. So we'll see how that all works out. But Benny, wild card weekend, 6 games.
How many on Saturday?
I believe we have 2 on Saturday.
Okay.
And 4 on Sunday.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I think we might even have a Monday game.
Oh, my bad. The Eagles play on Monday night.
It's
Eagles Bucks is Monday. Yes. Eagles Bucks is Monday.
They are the Monday night. Yeah, I sort of kept thinking it's a Monday night game. Because I remember you and I talking about the end of the Mondays and the Thursdays. And
yeah, I tell you, the Eagle fans that are on this conspiracy theory about their schedule and their short periods of rest in between several games during the season, now they're looking at if by chance they were able to win, they would have to go to their next playoff game on a short week also. So they're really sticking it to them, man. What a shame. Yeah, we got 2 games Saturday, Browns, Texans, Dolphins, Chiefs, and then 1, 2, 3 on Sunday.
Yep. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Green Bay, Dallas,
yeah.
and
Rams.
Rams.
1 at 4:30, 1 at 8, and
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's no more red zone, gang. We got single games now. We can really bear down and watch what's going on.
Yeah, I love it, man. You can actually watch the whole game,
Yep.
The play-by-play tactical maneuvers and all of that kind of stuff. You can see things as they begin to trends as they begin to, show themselves and stuff like that. So, and then Monday night, the Eagles, national TV, ESPN, ABC,
Bro.
Raymond James Stadium in Florida.
As Desiree would say, fire the cannons.
Oh, that's right. That's the Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Every time they score, they fire the cannons on the pirate ship.
They sure do. They sure do. All right, Benny. That wraps up the Bias Plus reports for the wild card weekend, which leaves us one piece of business before we look at our social media. And you know what that is, Benny.
That would be the NFL awards.
No, it's the Bias Plus Buster of the week.
Oh, how could I forget that? Oh, it's the New York Giants. Bro,
Congrats to the New York Football Giants with a Bias Plus Buster score of 24.3. Laid it on those boys.
hammered him, hammered him, made him quit, made him quit.
Oh,
Bro,
too funny,
I,
too funny.
you
Oh,
know, I go in the gym and I have my hats on and I have my shirts on to work out, and people are looking at me, your team sucks. They're walking around the gym, E-A-G, women and men, all season long. I went in there Monday, wasn't near Eagle hat, shirt, or sweatshirt. None. Zero. Zero.
oh my God. And our friend Mark, he's already predicting that if they don't, if they lose this game, everybody's gone. Sirianni.
Ah,
Everybody's gone. They'll get rid of all of them guys, all them bums.
hell of a fan.
Hell of a fan.
Hell
Hell,
of a fan. He's the worst fan ever, man.
oh my God. Too funny. Too funny. All right. Congratulations to your New York Giants. Way to wrap up the season.
That was our Super Bowl. I'll take it. I'll take it. Think I won't? I'll take it.
Hey, look, man, look. There was peace in the valley. The only football post, Eagle posts I see for the most part now are people saying, "I'm still a fan. I'm with you." It's like okay, too funny, too funny. All right, let's take a quick look at our Facebook page. Talk about a few things before we move along, Billy. We talked a little bit about the players that can hit bonuses and incentives in week 18. We talked a little bit about that. So again, Ben and Barry on football on Facebook. You can find that article, find some of that, see who got paid for week 18. Playoffs? Playoffs? You talking about playoffs? I don't know what sounds, it reminds me of Allen Iverson. Practice.
Yeah,
We don't practice
those
about the playoffs.
those go down in the annals of the great interviews.
You know what I'm saying? And Betty, I just wanted to remind people of why what this is all about. Why we lift all of those weights, as they say.
That's right.
It ain't about the playoffs. It ain't about the regular season. It's about the Super Bowl. The freaking Super Bowl, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Just wanted to make sure we said that. All right, Ron, we knew it was coming. Anything on Ron, Benny?
Black Monday. Everybody knew Ron Rivera was gone. They gave him enough respect to let him finish out the season. They had already fired his coordinators, so he knew he was next, but they did let him finish out the season. That was a good thing. My question is, and like I said earlier, Magic Johnson is part owner. Josh Harris, who owns the Sixers, is also a majority owner, I believe, for the Commanders. They've put together this gigantic committee of so-called experts to do this head coach search. I hope that Eric Bieniemy gets the first interview. But I got
heard his name and really being brought up as a strong candidate, to be quite honest with you.
I got a funny feeling it's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either. All right. You talked about it. Falcons fire Smith after another playoff-less year.
Yep. I put the fire into his seat weeks ago. Just got hotter and hotter and hotter. And it was only a matter of time. Again, the owner down there is a nice guy. I think he felt like, you know what, I'm going to let him finish out the season, see how he does. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to let this guy go and start looking for a new head coach. So I'm assuming that if he goes, his staff will go, and there'll be a whole new coaching staff in Atlanta next year.
New brain trust in Atlanta. Question is, will that brain trust include Ritter?
Well, you know how it is when you bring in a new brain trust.
Yeah,
If they didn't draft a guy, they have no allegiance to him.
that's right. That's right. Just want to remind everybody, spring football is right around the corner with the United Football League. That's where you've got your XFL and your USFL coming together to form a strong league that they say they want to make sure that every year you can depend on having spring football. So I like that. I think that's a good thing.
I'll tell you the truth, man. I thought the XFL season last year was really good. And I thought the USFL season was pretty good too. So now that they're putting these things together, I will find it hard to believe that spring football is going to be damn good this season. I'm going to be tuned in.
You and me both. You and me both.
Yeah.
We have to choose.
I'm looking for some
You already
good
showed you like the Philly Stars, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure who I like yet. We have to see. We have to see. I have to choose a team. Another firing. This time it went up to the GM, Panthers GM Scott Fitterer. Done. Out. So the coach is gone, the GM's gone, starting fresh.
Yeah, I can't believe that they didn't get rid of this guy when they let Frank Reich go. Why keep him around? You're not going to let him make any decisions. You know what I mean?
Question. Good question. Maybe it has something to do with contracts. You never know.
So Frank Reich, they got rid of. The interim coaches are now gone, or the interim head coach is now gone, and the GM is now gone. So again, the Panthers are starting off fresh. I'm sure that they're going to look for an offensive-minded head coach that they think can develop Bryce Young. So that's the direction that they'll be going in.
They better. They better find something. They didn't. That's a first round pick that they got there. All right, Benny, we talked a little bit about this. It's hilarious. You gotta love Jameis. You gotta love Jameis. So apparently, it was a decision for the running back who had not scored all year. They were at the goal line. They were told to take a knee, victory formation, but decided to turn around and hand the ball off to the running back who crashed over the line, got the score. So he did finish it with a touchdown. It caused the Falcons coach to go ballistic, running out to the middle of the field, cussing the head coach out, not knowing what happened. And now the team, from what I understand, and Jimmy Graham speaking out, is firmly behind Jameis. They're like, he's a team guy. We love Jameis. We want him around. We want you to know it was a team decision. Hilarious. Hilarious.
All right. Number one.
Uh-oh.
The head coach of the Falcons, he knew he was going to be fired. But even if he wasn't going to be fired, I think him going ballistic at the end of the game over this particular play was definitely warranted. Now, when they say a team decision, I have to wonder, did they talk about it did the players kind of whisper about it amongst themselves on the sideline, seeing how the game was going and knowing that eventually they were going to end the game in victory formation, and that if they did, they wanted to get Jamal Williams a touchdown? You got to remember, last year Jamal Williams was on the Lions. He led the league in rushing touchdowns. Then he comes to the Saints and has 0 touchdowns for the season. So I understand why they wanted to try to give him a touchdown. However, as Shannon Sharp said, he should have been cut immediately.
Jameis?
Yes.
Okay.
For taking that upon himself this is the feeling I get. I think it was his idea. I think he said something to some of the offensive players, and it was like, yeah, man, we need to give him a touchdown. This is where he went wrong. You don't line up in victory and then run the ball. Because when you line up in victory, you're telling the other team that you're going to take a knee. I don't have a problem with him wanting to get Jamal Williams a touchdown. But what I would have done was, since he's going to go against what the coach called anyway, he should have shifted out into a regular offensive formation, letting the defense know that we're going to run a freaking play, y'all, and then hand it to him. But because they wanted to make sure that he scored, they stayed in victory, expecting the defensive line to relax a little bit, and then they ran him over and scored. That's deception. That's deception. And deception is not supposed to be allowed in the NFL.
What? Deception is not allowed in the NFL.
That is correct.
Oh my God. Deception is at the core of everything they do. What are you talking about?
There's a difference between showing a defense and then shifting into something else.
Ah.
And actually, it goes back to the whole Lions-Cowboys thing with the guy coming in, checking in with the ref about being an eligible receiver. Okay? If you don't do that and you come out there with number 70 on and line up on the end of the line and run a pass route and score a touchdown, that's deception.
Well, I'll say this much. It's a copycat league. I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody copy it.
No, nobody's going to copy that.
All right.
Nobody's going to copy that. That's borderline disrespect, bad sportsmanship, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's talk about Garrett Wilson taking a blowtorch to the Jets coaching staff.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, Benny, I will say this much. As far as team management is concerned, what I saw from the Jets was terrible team management. I just saw them so often, too many people that they lined up in the wrong places, the formation not right, that all types of stuff going on, really crazy decisions. I think I told you they were losing the one game. It was a few seconds left, and I'm not sure if it was a halftime. They lined up in the all go, like this one touchdown is going to do something in these next few seconds. And it was just, why would you even risk injury to your players in that? In any event, you have anything on this?
Absolutely. The whole problem with the New York Jets was the offense, not the defense. People were raving about their defense coming into the season and thinking Aaron Rodgers would make the difference on offense and that this team could really go far. When he got hurt, there's no reason in the world that this offense that has playmakers would be trash. You can blame it on Zach Wilson if you want to. You can blame it on Trevor Siemian if you want to. I'm sure, they're obviously lackluster players, and we shouldn't expect any greatness out of them. But the root of all evil on this offense is the same root of all evil on the Denver Broncos offense last season that Sean Payton spoke on and got chastised for, but he was not lying. As the young boys would say, no cat. Nathaniel Hackett is a freaking bum. Nathaniel Hackett stinks and should not be coaching high school football, let alone NFL football. Nathaniel Hackett is a quarterback coach who has no place being an offensive coordinator. None.
Tell me how you really feel, Benny.
That's how I feel.
That's how you feel. Okay, all right. Well, there you go. With the Jets, the only team I had any family to play for. Um, this dysfunctional. Ben saying it's mainly the offense. Okay, all right. Let's see now. So what happened with your man, Wink Martindale? 1 minute he's out,
Uh,
1 minute he's in, he's not out yet. His people is out, but he's not out. What's going on?
so they let some of his assistants go, and he didn't like that. He's a very loyal guy. He feels like if my guys can't stay, I can't stay either. Now, officially, he resigned. Is that correct?
This is what they're kind of saying, but it's only official when you sign the paper. You can say what you want, but if you ain't signed no papers, you ain't did nothing. I don't
Okay.
sign any papers. I think he stormed out.
Okay. So he's still on the payroll.
Yeah, he's got some contract issues, man. And from what I
Okay.
understand, um, if he quits, the Giants have a say as to where he can go.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So there's some things going on there. They owe him 3 million. I think he's got a $3 million contract. It's last year's contract. But
okay.
one of the clauses in the contract.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see how that all works out. But yeah, he was
Okay.
kind of out. Yeah, 1 foot out, but he couldn't get.
Yeah, I like Wink. I do. Um, I think he would have did even better if, in fact, I think one more draft and get him a little bit more talent over on that defense would have did him justice. He does blitz a lot, um, probably more than he should, but I think he feels like he's not getting enough pressure on these quarterbacks, which is extremely important. He's not getting that from his front four, so he has to blitz a lot. Um, he had some success. Giants had some success on defense, but they got a bunch of issues, so obviously they didn't have a great season. I hate to see him go, um, but I can understand how he feels. If it's a loyalty thing and they're not going to keep some of his assistants and he wants to go because of that, I'm sure he'll resurface and bring those guys along somewhere in the near future.
All righty, that's Wink, former coach of the year, Mike Vrabel, out. They want somebody new.
Well, they fired him, but I could be wrong, but I have a funny feeling that this is the first domino to fall in the Bill Belichick out of New England, Mike Vrabel into New England.
Okay,
That's
I hear
that's
you.
that's how I see it.
All right.
And the funny thing is, some people are like, well, he's from the Belichick coaching tree. He might not want to. Nah, he's not the same coaching wise as Belichick is. He played for Belichick. He did not coach under Belichick. So to me, he's not under the Belichick coaching tree.
Okay. All right.
I
He's his
think it's a
own
good
man.
move for New England if they do it. I don't know if they will or not. That's what I'm speculating.
Speculation, eh?
Yes, sir.
Jaguars Mike Caldwell and staff reportedly fired. Everybody out.
That's the defensive coordinator, correct?
Yes, sir.
Man, I'm so disappointed in the Jaguars. I really, really am. I had them picked in my preseason predictions for going to the playoffs and kind of possibly going far. After what they did last year, I thought Dougie P had this team on the right course. Um, Unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence didn't play as well as I thought he would. The defense didn't definitely didn't play as well as I thought they would. If this guy gets fired and the whole defensive staff is out, they're going to have to revamp that. I have no idea what direction they're going in. This is one that I'm going to have to watch and see how it goes. But yeah, they didn't get the job done.
All right, some end of season picks. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Pete Carroll got kicked upstairs, Benny.
Yeah, this one was a surprise.
From what I understand, he fought for it to maintain his coaching job. He wanted to keep it. But no,
Really?
he's a special advisor, buddy, a special advisor.
Okay, so I didn't have a chance because I was doing some other stuff to get into the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. I didn't know that he was really that adamant about continuing to be the head coach. But if in fact the decision was made for him to get him off the sideline, but they're going to kick him upstairs and make him some kind of an advisor or a consultant or something like that and keep him in the organization, I think that's a good move.
All right. Well, it's good because in a way it's that continuity from generation to generation,
Right.
That's you kind of if you can get it, that's really good. I mean, every business needs a succession plan.
Right.
And so not bad. Everyone from NBC to Amazon will be paying attention because the Chiefs, who is it that the Chiefs are playing? Chiefs are playing the Dolphins.
Right.
And if you want to see it, you have to subscribe to Peacock.
Okay. I have Peacock.
You have Peacock?
Yes.
Well, I might come over your house and watch it then, because I'm not subscribing to no damn Peacock.
That's
I got
cool.
enough streaming stuff. So I'll be over Ben's house. You're not getting another membership out of me. And apparently this is rubbing people the wrong way. I've actually complained. I don't even like when they do the Thursday night on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I don't like that either. In fact, my daughters put stuff on my television and move stuff around and all because they're movie buffs and they watch all those reality shows and stuff. So I had Amazon Prime on the downstairs TV, but not on the upstairs TV. So if my wife wanted to watch something downstairs, I couldn't watch Thursday Night Football. That has been rectified, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
I'm like this.
it's money, bro.
Make it that much more accessible. So there's a lot of people who only stream nowadays. They don't have cable.
Right.
So yeah, it should be on Amazon Prime. It should be on Peacock, but not exclusively. It can still
Right.
be on broadcast TV. I should still be able to watch this game.
Yeah, it should be on both.
I've got NFL channel and I've got all the channels and all of that stuff. I'm spending money with you, one way or the other. I should be able to see this game. And I should
Absolutely.
get another streaming service.
It's Taylor Swift's fault.
It is not. All right, Benny. You want me to go first here?
I tell you what, I'm going to let you go first, and I'm going to come back and tell you if I agree or disagree. Let's start with, and what we're about to do is the regular season awards after the regular season has just ended, unlike the NFL, who waits damn near to the Super Bowl before they announce their awards. We do not want to be swayed by playoff stuff. We want to give regular season awards to the people that we feel deserve them for what they did in the regular season. So let's start with comeback player of the year. Who do you like?
Joe Flacco is my comeback player of the year. And especially because I was so tough on him when he was with the Jets. I used to call him a statue all the time and everything.
Yes.
But if you can come back, put up 30 points, take a nap, you know, you got it. You got my comeback player of the year.
Take a nap.
Sure.
He's taking he's taking power naps on the sideline when most quarterbacks would be looking at the tablet trying to figure out what they're going to do on the next possession. This guy's nodding off. Well,
Yeah, and look, he's like, I don't need no stinking wristband. Just give me 5 good plays. I'm okay. I'll figure it out. You
I
know.
agree with you. I also like Joe Flacco for comeback player of the year. We'll keep these and we'll compare these to when the NFL does their award show. But yes, I do agree with you. Joe Flacco is also my comeback player of the year. Next.
Wait, before you go, and let me
Oh,
know
I'm sorry.
the thing. Do you remember that Joe Flacco was one of our stars on the series best job in the NFL backup quarterbacks?
Yes, he was.
He was a star because he had already earned like $140 million.
Right,
Still
right,
sitting
right,
collecting a million here and a million there.
right. We were like, Joe Flacco, you have the greatest job in the world. You are the highest paid backup quarterback with an earphone and a clipboard in your hand. What a job.
What a job. What a job. Okay. So who's next now?
Next up, we got Coach of the Year.
Well, I'm going to admit to being a bit biased. So I'm going with D'Amico Ryans. Because as you said, the quarterback's throwing to who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's that guy? They don't even know half the names
Exactly.
receivers that he's throwing to. He's got a rookie quarterback that's taking him to the wild card playoffs. He came into a dysfunctional organization, top up,
Yes.
top down. What the hell was going on with the Titans? People were trying to get out of there, and he's got some beasts on defense over there. So he's going to be up to his armpits and alligators with the Browns, but I think he did an excellent job. I'm going with D'Amico Ryans.
Again, I agree with you. I love D'Amico Ryans, Coach of the Year, ex-defensive coordinator for San Francisco 49ers, ex-linebacker and play caller on the field for the Houston Texans, the team that he now coaches. Absolutely, D'Amico Ryans is my Coach of the Year.
All right.
Next up, this is where we're going to start to differ here, I'm sure. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year might be a bit of a surprise to you.
Okay.
I have to always say that when it comes to personnel situations, I always kind of lean toward you because you do the fantasy thing, which you get more into the particular roster, the personnel, as opposed to me doing the Sterling net point power rankings, where I basically am operating on a team basis for the most part.
Right.
So this is for who now? Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Yes.
Devin Witherspoon, Seattle Seahawks.
I see you've been doing some homework. Good job. Good job. Devin Witherspoon, Seattle Seahawks. Okay. Okay.
My division.
If you remember, which I'm sure you don't because I barely do, all the way back when we did our draft video, our draft show, I talked about Devin Witherspoon, where he was going to get picked, who he was going to get picked by, and how I thought he was going to be a really good player coming in right away. And he was. I really like Devin Witherspoon. However, I did not pick him.
Okay.
I picked, again, from the Houston Texans, Will Anderson.
I thought about Will. I really did.
Will Anderson, and edge rusher. And I tell you, I was torn because there was a guy I looked up that I had forgotten about. Oh man, I can't remember his last name. His first name is Kobe. He plays for the Rams.
Okay.
Okay, he's a detail. He's a nose tackle, in fact. But I went with Will Anderson, 29 solo tackles, 7 sacks. I picked him for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's really come on down the stretch here, coming to the playoffs. He's played extremely well. And, he's a real bright spot on that defense that I'm sure is going to get better and better with D'Amico Ryans as the head coach.
All right, all right,
Okay.
all right.
All right. Now,
You're tuned.
I think we're going to match up on this one. I got a funny feeling. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yes, CJ Stroud, no doubt. CJ.
You know what? I thought you were going to pick Puka.
Well, Puka is like the next guy,
Absolutely.
but first of all, he's a quarterback. Okay.
Right. That makes a difference.
That makes a difference. I mean,
Yes.
he's got all the responsibility.
Yes.
Throwing some dimes out there.
Yes.
I mean, Joe Flacco is looking at him going, wow, that's a nice pass. Flacco's pulling dimes nowadays.
Right.
That's going to be interesting to see him when one of the youngest players in the league, a rookie, going up against one of the oldest players in the league. Guys got more experience than half the people on that offense. If you added all their years up, he got more experience than most of those guys. Somebody said something that was funny, and I wasn't sure what team they were talking about, but this could be one of those types of teams where they're like everybody was born after the year 2000.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Flacco's 38.
Man, I'm telling you.
Even we didn't play till 38. Right?
The only person played till 38 was our kicker.
Glenn, right. You're right. You're right. Oh, man.
So who do you have?
I got CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Same guy. We do agree. I tell you, when I was doing the Bias Plus reports and picking and putting down my information for the matchups, I was looking at the records that Puka Nacua broke. And I had him on several of my fantasy teams. In fact, I have him on my main team that's still alive right now. This guy's been phenomenal, man. The records he broke, the catches he made, the touchdowns he scored, the impact that he's had for the Rams over the course of the season. It was hard to go against him. But CJ Stroud not only is a quarterback, but we both thought he should have been the number one pick overall. He's turned out to be far better, not Bryce Young's fault, but he's turned out to be far better than Bryce Young. He's the head of an entire culture change, him and D'Amico Ryans, an entire culture change in Houston. And it's not like he was pretty good. 4,108 yards. 4,108 yards passing. 23 touchdowns. Only 5 interceptions, bro. A rookie quarterback. Only 5 interceptions. And he missed 2 games to injury.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. CJ Stroud has got to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
All right.
Now, let's move on. Now we're getting to the big guys. Defensive Player of the Year. Who you got?
Well, this is a guy that I call the Hulk.
Oh, here we go again.
As far as I'm concerned. And his name rhymes with my dad, spells it different, but that would be one Myles Garrett.
Okay.
The Hulk. Ridiculous, man.
Guess what? You got me again.
What?
I like Myles Garrett.
Oh my goodness. This is
and I tell you what, I tried not to pick him. I tried, but I couldn't do it. 33 solo tackles. He's got 70 something assisted tackles, but he had 33 solo tackles, 14 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. Myles Garrett, without a doubt, is my defensive player of the year.
And he successfully leaped over the line and blocked the punt,
Oh,
blocked the field goal.
oh my God, I forgot about that.
That's why
Unbelievable, unbelievable athleticism for a guy that size.
I'm telling you,
Crazy.
Okay.
Oh man, I
DP,
think we're gonna agree again here. Offensive,
offensive player of the year.
yeah.
I don't think we're going to agree, Benny.
You don't?
No, I don't. I'm going with Christian McCaffrey.
Why do you think we're not going to agree? Who do you think I took?
I don't know. I'm like, nah, he can't pick Christian too. Oh my goodness. Christian McCaffrey, again, I'm a Niner fan. That's my squad, and I play with the Niners. And the skill level that this guy has on the game, the virtual skill level, if it's anything like the real skill level, and you see him in the real game, he's got hands first and foremost. He's got hands as good as any receiver. He can run routes. He's running between the tackles. He's running wide. He's running with some power. He whatever you need done. And like I always say, I don't think it's anything Debo can do that Christian McCaffrey can't do, except I think Christian McCaffrey, I'd rather him send him up the middle than Debo. I don't like sending Debo up the middle. But long story short, yeah, Christian McCaffrey makes such a difference. When he's in there, he makes such a difference. I like Purdy, but I do believe that Purdy is as good as his front line. If you block for him, he is magnificent. If you don't, unlike Lamar, he's not going to just completely just run away from it. He doesn't have that level of athleticism. Now, he's got a level of athleticism. I'm not saying he don't have it, but for
Not like that.
Yeah, when I've seen him have problems, it's been because the Eagles, when they hurt him, they lost it at the line of scrimmage. When they played the Ravens, they lost it at the line of scrimmage. So that's what I believe is part of his limitation. And if he can work around that, he'll get him in that Super Bowl for us. We're looking at 6 here, baby. But I'm going with Christian McCaffrey. And you are also,
I am also taking Christian McCaffrey. 1,459 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns rushing. This is the big one, like you said, 67 receptions. He outcaught a whole ton of receivers. 67 catches, 564 yards, and 7 touchdowns on receptions. What's that? 7, 11. That's 21 touchdowns. That's crazy. 21 touchdowns and 1,459 plus 564. Is that 2,000?
It's close. It's
Unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. Tremendous. And this is from a guy who people thought his career was almost over because of injuries. Yeah. For him to come back strong like this and put up these kind of numbers is tremendous. Tremendous. Now, I don't know who's going to get picked for the NFL honors when the show comes on. I know they're going to have a tough time again with Puka Nacua on this one because he put up some great numbers too. Plus, he was a rookie. But Christian McCaffrey is just, I think he's unbelievable.
Well, yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you there. That was one of the trades of the century, at least a decade, because when we got him, I was like, holy mackerel. So, yeah. All righty, Benny.
All right, last but not least, MVP.
I've already said his name once. I used his name in comparison to my own quarterback, and that is one Lamar Jackson. I'm saying Lamar because, again, if you can make a team play 11 on 11 football, you have a decided advantage. And he can do that at probably at a level. Only person really that I see with that level of athleticism or close to it is Josh Allen. You know,
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that.
And now he's passing the ball in the new offense. He has a new offensive coordinator. His passing is better. His use of the pocket is better. I'm watching him, use the pocket, like just step away from it, ring around, stop, throw the ball. Those things, remember I kept saying to you, some of these guys start running to the sideline, they just keep running, they run out
Yeah.
the sideline. He doesn't do that anymore. He just, he creates his space, stops, and fires that ball, man, and he's getting it done. They are number one in, I believe, net points for the league at the end of the regular season. So you got to give them props for that. And so, they are the big bad wolf. They are the team that, I don't care if you're in the AFC or the NFC, you're probably going to have to go through Baltimore if you want to win the Super Bowl right now.
Absolutely.
So much of that is Lamar.
I agree 100%. I'm also taking Lamar Jackson as my MVP. He doesn't have the best passing stats. There's other quarterbacks that have thrown for more yardage and have thrown for more touchdowns. But what he does for his team, and again, this is something that I think when people think about MVP, they forget. It's the most valuable player for the team that you're on. They never put that part on, okay? Without Lamar, only because they were careful about who they picked to be their backup, they would still have a chance, but there's no way they would be as dynamic offensively as they are with Lamar. If they don't have him, it's a drastic change on their offense. Probably more than a lot of other people when you compare what you lose when he's not there as opposed to what you get when he is there. Bunch of quarterbacks threw over 4,000 yards, which I believe is the standard for great as opposed to very good. He threw for 3,678. Probably could have thrown for more, maybe if Mark Andrews had stayed healthy. He threw for 24 touchdowns. That's no joke. He only threw 7 interceptions. Big improvement. He ran 148 times for 821 yards. That outdoes a bunch of running backs.
It's like a 7 yard per carry average.
Right. I was going to say a bunch of running backs who had far more attempts. He got more yards on less attempts than a bunch of running backs who do this for a living. And he scored 5 touchdowns on the ground. And the crazy thing is, he's had more rushing attempts in a few other years in the past and didn't do as well. So I think this new offense, I like to go new offense, okay, really suits him. I think he's doing extremely well. He's learned the dance, as you like to call it, in maneuvering in the pocket and getting his passes off quickly and efficiently. His accuracy, I thought, was always there, but it's being highlighted now because he's working better in the pocket. This is the greatest dual threat quarterback that we've ever seen. And I love Michael Vick, but Lamar Jackson's on a whole nother level, man. So he's my MVP.
All right. So we were only different. We're only different on one position.
Defensive rookie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it. Wow.
Crazy.
Scary, man. Scary. All All right, so wait a minute. What time is that game with Peacock?
Oh, the Chiefs Dolphins is
8.
that's the 8 o'clock
8 o'clock
game.
Saturday night.
Late game.
It's a late game. Well, I don't know, Benny. I'm going to be past my bedtime. 8 o'clock game, boy. I look up about 10 o'clock. It's a 3 hour game. I'm over 2 hours later, about 10 o'clock. I'm like this.
On Saturday night?
I'm retired, Benny.
Come
What's
on, man.
Saturday, Friday? It don't make me no difference.
You can hang in there. Get you some coffee. You'll be all right.
Yeah, well, that's a possibility. We'll see. We'll see. All right, Benny. I
Yes,
got
sir.
nothing more. You got anything else?
No, I'm done, bro.
Great job. Great job. Welcome to the playoffs. Sayonara to the regular season. And let's see what happens. Let me see. We got 6 games, right? We only got 6 games. Our percentage is going to be based on a low of 6 games, Benny. We can't afford to be too far off.
I know. I know.
Yeah, I know. I know.
We'll see how we do.
We'll see.
I feel pretty good, though. I wanted to take the Texans, but I really can't. I think the Browns defense is going to come through. I think the Chiefs defense is going to come through. I think the Bills defense will be far more than the Steelers can handle. I think the Cowboys just don't lose at home. The Rams-Lions game is the scary. That might be the best game of the weekend.
The intriguing game of the week.
Yeah.
We'll be right
And
on that one.
I find it very hard, although obviously it's possible that the Eagles will win. But there's just too much going wrong there. I can't see them turning that around in 1 week. I really can't. Unless the Bucks.
Somebody on the radio actually called in and said he thinks that the Eagles have been playing possum.
Oh my God.
On that note.
Oh.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and you can find Ben and Barry on Football at www.benandbarryonfootball.com. What you looking at?
Sixers are up by 1 with 20 seconds left.
On who?
Atlanta. Boo.
Oh, man.
They should be up by 20 on Atlanta.
Did you see the dime Wemby threw?
Wemby's all right, man. Wemby's all right. Wemby's blocking 3-point shots.
Yeah. Wemby took a rebound, just turned around and whipped it like CJ Stroud, like down the field, down the court, man. Dude just caught it in stride. One dribble, so bam, he's in the
It's
rim.
crazy.
Like, and somebody who was one of the guys on the NBA channel said, just give this guy a year or so to get bigger and stronger. Man.
But be a problem. He blocked Giannis.
Yeah.
Under the hoop.
Stuffed him. All right, man. I'll be in touch.
Yes, sir. Take it easy.
Peace.